21 News is your place for politics. One of the biggest races that we are covering in Ohio is the race for U.S. Senate. Republican businessman Bernie Moreno just snagged former President Trump's endorsement, something that has been the subject of conversation, uncertainty until now. He is among the candidates hoping to unseat Democrat Sherrod Brown. I'm joined live now by GOP candidate Bernie Moreno. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're a businessman. You're a Washington political outsider, much like Trump was when he started. You list 15 priorities if elected, including parents' rights, the southern border. So what is the top issue that you would focus on in your campaign?
Well, I mean, the most important thing is really we have to secure our southern border. We've had almost 8.5 million people cross into this country illegally. We're spending $451 billion just this year housing and processing these illegal migrants. I came here legally from Colombia, South America. The legal process is the only way in which we should allow people to come into this country.
Now, the last time around on primary night, I was on the campaign trail. It wasn't until Vance got that Trump endorsement that he got a boost. Wondering how you feel about the endorsement. We know Matt Dolan came in a close third. He was the only candidate that didn't want the endorsement, wasn't looking for it. Does it show there's a sizable number of Ohio Republicans that maybe are eager to move on from Trump? How do you weigh all of this?
Well, just to be clear, Matt Dolan came in a distant third. He got almost only 23% of the vote. There were 5 other candidates that were all aligned with President Trump. JD won. He was the best candidate at the time, and he got Trump's endorsement 2 weeks before Election Day. In this case, President Trump has waited 90 days before the primary is over. There's only 3 of us in the race, and I feel pretty confident about where we stand in the race. Of course, it doesn't mean we're not going to work really hard. This is what I do all day, every day. I've sold all of my businesses. I'm fully unemployed, and this is what I do all day, campaign, which is what it's going to take to beat Sherrod Brown.
Now, he made comments that immigrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of America. Critics pointing to that as a similar tone to Adolf Hitler. Do you agree with those comments? Are you concerned a little bit about his rhetoric, if at all?
Well, it just shows the ridiculousness of the media. They're attacking the person pointing out the problem instead of attacking the person causing the problem. What President Trump was obviously referring to is the fentanyl that is poisoning our kids. We're losing about 110,000 Americans every single solitary year. And instead of worrying about interpreting rhetoric that is really on them, that they heard it that way, I certainly, as a legal immigrant, did not hear it that way at all. Here's President Trump endorsing a legal immigrant to the United States to be the next United States Senator from Ohio. So he is a good man. The media likes to besmirch him. Let's put the blame exactly where it belongs, which is on Joe Biden, who has allowed this invasion of our country to go on.
Now, J.D. Vance has been stumping for you in a recent campaign stop. The Ohio Capitol Journal just reported on this. You compared your immigration stance to your opponents. You're calling for an end to birthright citizenship. Why do you believe that that is a realistic approach? We just saw a record number of crossings this week.
Well, it's because we've had a record number of crossings this week. People are desperate to come to America. There's a lot of suffering that happens all over the world. And we are not in a position, our social safety net's not in a position to solve the problems of the rest of the world. We have real problems here in America. We have homeless vets. We have about a quarter of our kids go to bed hungry every night. We need to have a legal and only a legal path to immigration. Birthright citizenship was intended to be a topic around slavery. It was never intended around illegal immigration. Those are things that don't apply. We don't want to encourage people to have bad behavior, and that's what our immigration system is allowed to happen. We want to have an orderly, legal immigration system and a zero tolerance for illegal immigration.
Since this endorsement came out, I think a lot of folks are looking forward to 24 now, Bernie. So what are some of the weaknesses that you see with your Democratic opponent when it comes to Sherrod Brown? What will you challenge him on?
Well, let's just be honest about who he is. This is a guy who was raised in a very privileged household, even though he pretends otherwise. He went to Yale, probably the most elite university in America, majored in Russian studies, graduates, and has been in an elected office his entire life, and now he's in his 70s. He's been in Washington, D.C. for 30 years and has a record of absolutely nothing but bad and disastrous policies for the very people he says he's there to help. We saw in the Valley, the Lordstown plant closed. That happened under Sherrod Brown's watch. He did nothing to prevent that from happening. We've seen lots of manufacturing jobs leave this country. Again, Sherrod Brown has been there and for 30 years in Washington, D.C., and has seen a decline of our middle class. He's the one pushing these electric vehicle mandates that are going to hand over the rest of our auto industry to China. He's for subsidizing Chinese solar-made panels to bring here to the U.S. He's a disaster.
So you're going after the economic policies. You know, he did oppose NAFTA when it came out. Do you believe he's still that same politician?
Well, he may have opposed it, but it still went through, right? So you don't send somebody there to oppose things. You send somebody there to actually get things done. And again, he has a track record of not accomplishing anything that helps the very people he says he's there to do. I'm going to go there to actually get things done. I'm not going to be there for life. I have a practical business experience. I know what it's like to create jobs and create businesses. Sherrod Brown has no idea how any of that works.
All right. Well, definitely a lot of questions and a lot on this campaign coming up. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.